Welcome to episode 11 of Literally Speaking All Things AIS, the official podcast of Augusta Independent School District. I'm Tim Literal, and I'm glad you're joining us today. We'll begin with a few quick updates from around the district, and then we'll continue our conversation with Superintendent Lisa McCane before moving on to our AIS Spotlight and wrapping up with our In the Loop segment. We'll begin with AISD Headlines, a segment to share important district news and celebrate accomplishments. Kindergarten registration is underway for the 2026-27 school year. In order to register, children must be 5 years old by August 1st, 2026. By going to our website at www.augusta.kyschools.us, families can complete the online registration form and sign up for a kindergarten orientation meeting on either August 14th or August 21st. Families also need to pick up the registration packet from the office or print the PDF document from the website. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, families can call Miss Naomi Krebs at 606-756-2105. Utility relocation work has begun on Frankfort Street. As a result, Frankfort Street between the railroad tracks and 2nd Street is now closed to through traffic. Traffic for local residents and Echo Hall can access that portion of Frankfort Street by entering the 2nd Street entrance. Motorists are asked to avoid using the Frankfort Street entrance when entering and exiting the school parking lot. 2 former Augusta athletes have been inducted into the 10th Region Boys Basketball Hall of Fame. Mike Taylor scored 1,155 career points and was a 2-year varsity starter, leading the team in scoring in both seasons. He was named Most Outstanding Player for the Augusta Panthers during his junior and senior years and was voted All-District and All-Region in each of those seasons. He was also a member of the NKIAC team as a junior and senior. During his senior season, he led the team in every statistical category except rebounds and was selected as an All-State Honorable Mention by the Lexington Herald. After graduating, Mike has stayed involved in the school and community. Currently sitting on the school board, he served many roles in Augusta, including business owner, city council member, and mayor. John Kennard was selected for induction by the Veterans Committee. Kennard scored 1,399 career points in his 4 years as a varsity starter for the Panthers. He was voted Most Improved Player as a freshman for the Panthers and named to the All-Defensive Team for all 4 years that he played. He capped that off by being chosen as Team MVP during his senior season. He was also selected as a member of the NKIAC team all 4 years of high school during his career. Today, we're continuing with part 2 of our interview with Superintendent Lisa McCane. As a superintendent in a small district, you, like all of us, sort of wear many hats. You have to get your hands dirty sometimes, where maybe superintendents in larger districts are more, they lead meetings, they are PR of the district. But I know a central thing you do here is you undertake a lot of the grant writing tasks. And we're going to go through a number of those now that you've been working on and some we've been fortunate to receive. And we'll go back and start with one that we've already received, the Numeracy Counts grant, and how that has been benefited the district or will.
Yes. Well, first let me say, as far as being a small district and not just a small district, we are a small, what would be considered a low-income district. And those 2 factors really limit our budget and what we have to spend in terms of instructional resources. So we've always relied on grant funding, state and local grants and federal grants, in order to supplement, the current instructional resources and programming that we have. So last year we had an opportunity to apply for a Numeracy Counts grant. And just looking at our test scores, we saw that in our elementary, we needed to really focus on reading and math. And one of the things that we knew was a real deficit for us was having curriculums in both of those content areas. And so applying for that grant allowed us to obtain the Amplify curriculum, which is actually a highly qualified instructional resource that's been approved through the Kentucky Department of Education and through federal outlets that have, identified it as a green. They score these different curriculums, and if you have a green rating, that means you have a very good research-based program. And so that's been great to bring in. Last year, we were able to get teachers a lot of additional professional development that they otherwise wouldn't have had. So, we expect we're going to see the results of that over the next few years.
Another grant that was due last month, and we've had this grant, I think, for over a decade now, is Read to Achieve. And we just found out last week that we've been renewed for that grant. So that was a very positive news. Talk about the importance of the RTA grant for us.
Right, yes. RTA, the Read to Achieve grant, has been, one of those tried and true programs that we've been very fortunate to have in place. The Read to Achieve grant actually is focused on kindergarten through third grade reading intervention. So students who are struggling in Tier 1, which is considered their overall classroom instruction, they get additional support in a pull-out program where they get small group and one-on-one instruction in reading. We use a diagnostic assessment. Now it's called DIBELS, and so it identifies where students are, and it really helps us pinpoint then using the RTA program to move forward with the instructional plan for those students on an individual level. And it really gives them a leg up to get them back on grade level. And so students are filtering in and out of the RTA program constantly. Mrs. Blackaby is our RTA teacher, and she's done that for many years. And so the goal is that they're in that program short term and they filter back into the Tier 1 instruction in the regular classroom.
The next grant we'll talk about, I think it probably consumed the most of your time of what the ones we're going to discuss, and that's the 21st Century Community Learning Center grant. What would a grant like that bring to our district?
Yeah, so one of the things we did this past fall was a strategic district survey. We were working on our strategic district plan, and we did some surveys. And one of the things that we found is that our faculty, our staff, and our families all identified programs for struggling learners in after school and summer were not really up to standard here. And so as an administrative team, getting input from faculty and staff, we talked about the fact that for the last probably 20 years, most of my career here, which spans now almost 25 years, we have not had any type of comprehensive summer programming or after school programming. And so what the 21st Century Community Learning Center grant brings is high quality, research-based programming for after school learning programs. This would be focused at elementary in K through 6. It would allow for after school programming for reading and math. This would be daily from Monday through Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. We would also be able to provide transportation. Not only does this allow for reading and math instruction, but it also provides another piece of engagement where students have the opportunity to work in areas such as STEM, with science, technology, engineering, and math. They would have an opportunity to explore in physical education, any kinds of other hands-on type learning programs, and this would be continued during the summer for a month after school is out. We would be able to continue this programming. So for Augusta, this would be a game changer. So we worked really hard on this grant that we recently submitted, and keeping our fingers crossed that we received this grant, and this would be one that would start in the fall of this year.
Another grant we applied for was the Math Achievement Fund mini grant. You've already kind of touched on that being a particular area of need for us. Talk a little bit about that grant.
Yes, so With the grant that we had received last year, the Numeracy Counts, it is focused on K through 3, and we have been able to, as a district, get that same curriculum, amplify up to middle school. So this grant is going to help us be able to get the curriculum for Amplify through high school as well. So it would provide that continuity, those instructional practices, and just that common language and that is needed K through 12. So we are hopeful that we will obtain this. We actually submit this grant this week, and hopeful in the next month or so that we will learn that we have this, and then that will complete having a new highly qualified instructional resource that is rated green for the entire school.
Another grant I believe we had last year was the Summer Boost program grant. Talk about what that entails and provides for our students.
Yes. So the Summer Boost grant focuses on reading and math, and it's really neat. And for those families out there who's unaware of this, when you come to our summer lunch program, this is something that's provided for every student who participates in the summer lunch program. Those students and families get free books every week. They also get free resources in mathematics as well as other reading booklets. And so it's something that you as a family get all of these resources for free for your children that you can use at home during the summer, which is really important so that you can reduce the lack of retention that often happens during the summer. So it kind of is considered kind of a wraparound program for summer learning.
Finally, the Youth Employment Grant is one we've been fortunate enough to receive now for probably the last 7 or 8 years at least. It's actually a program that impacts not just our school, but really the young adults in our community and even our county-wide. Discuss the TNCO Summer Youth Program.
Yes, so we were very fortunate in that, 8-10 years ago when we reapplied, that we worked closely with Lewis County. Lewis County had been a school district that had this for many, many years, and they had implemented it very successful. This particular grant is a federal grant, so it can be more challenging to receive this grant. So we worked closely with them to kind of find out what they were doing and how their program was set up, and that helped us plan to submit our grant from Augusta Independent. And this allows youth ages 17 to 24 to have a chance to work during the summer and have a full-time job. They work up to 30 hours a week. This year, for example, they will make $10 an hour, and so they have a lot of support from the school district. Mr. Bryant and Mr. Kelch are both the co-directors of that program, and so they work with those students to help them get a placement in an area that is something that they have passion to do. Let's say, for example, we have a student in our summer youth employment program that wants to go into nursing. We will work closely with Primary Plus to place them in a location with an employer that is going to only help elevate their learning and their skills. It also gives us a chance to work more with them to build those soft skills that are needed to be successful when they take on employment after high school. They work on, being punctual and those kinds of things. And so we are very proud of the fact that it has really been life-changing for some of our students. I mean, students that really wouldn't have had an opportunity, they've come through the youth employment program, and it's really helped put them into a path that Otherwise, they may not have had a job because it led to a permanent position for them.
For all of the grants that we haven't yet found out about, I believe within the next 2 to 3 months we find out the recipients for those. I did want to touch on one other thing you mentioned because I think it's important. The Amplify program, you mentioned it for math. This year we also purchased that for our language arts and our reading program, which we discussed this with Debbie Mahalik on the last podcast. The foundation, provided a nice donation to help offset that. But I think that, again, just like it is for math, that Amplify reading program is going to be key, I think, to helping our students see improvement academically, having that resource.
Right. Like I said earlier, that area in our elementary of just lacking that curriculum in reading and math. And so we, as a district, the board supported this as far as making an investment into this Amplify curriculum. And so it's a 3-year investment that will cost the district about $80,000. If that puts into perspective how expensive these curriculums can be. And that's why for us it's been a real challenge to get these types of resources in our classrooms. But we, as a administrative team and as a school board, have really worked together and collaborated on, okay, what do we need and how are we going to get these curriculums in our school district. And so again, that's where the grants really come in to play for us and benefit our district. And so the board made that commitment to go on and purchase the reading and language arts curriculum for, K through 6, because that is definitely an area. If you look at our test scores, our middle school and high school reading and math scores improved quite significantly, and our elementary have improved, and we actually gained an entire level, which we're really proud of, but we still are lagging behind. And so now in K through 6, we have these highly qualified instructional resources, not only in math, but also in reading.
Another undertaking this year has been to revise the mission statement. And just to remind our audience of that mission statement, I'll read it. The mission of Augusta Independent is to build a culture of high academic achievement where students develop confidence, character, and perseverance for lifelong success. What prompted that revision?
In districts, you have to go back and revisit your current mission statement, because the mission is really what drives all of the work that you're doing. It drives that whole vision that you have for your district. And over the summer, last summer in 2025, a couple of our administrators had been discussing our current mission statement, and we realized that it was outdated. We had evolved past our mission statement. A lot of things have been accomplished. There's a lot of changes that take place in education, and that mission was, I know, at least over a decade old, and it really wasn't focused on the work that we were doing now. And so when we did the strategic planning survey, we asked for input from our families and from our parents on what they would like to see in a new mission statement. Because one of the things, too, that we found is some of the former mission statement, it could be a little confusing. It was left up to interpretation on what that meant to individuals. You could ask 10 different people and they would have told you 10 different things that it meant. And so we really wanted this mission statement to be very focused and very specific on what we are trying to achieve for our students here at Augusta. And so we got the input from our families, from our parents, from our staff. We actually had a couple of community meetings where we had families come in and really delved deep in this work to make sure that we were getting the mission focused on what we were doing, and it also is aligned with the new United We Learn work that the Kentucky Department of Education is doing, and helping schools get all of their assessments aligned and high quality. And so I think our mission statement really reflects that work that we are trying to do now.
Right, and you touched on the collaborative effort of developing that. That wasn't you sitting in a room or me or Mr. Kelch sitting in a room. It was bringing parents and community members, and it really opened it up to any staff member. We had teachers who was a part of that work, and really sort of went through it with a fine-tooth comb to say, what is it that we want our goals, our mission to be? And I think that was obviously very effective in getting those different perspectives and viewpoints.
Definitely. And that's what I think is important to understand, is that work also took place over a course of about 4 to 5 months. It was something that we went back and forth, and we would sit in meetings and really looking at specific words. The wording that goes in the mission statements are so important. We wanted it to really be very specific and pinpoint the work that we're doing. And now I really believe this mission statement, it is really driving the work. And so as administrative team, we will have conversations during meetings. Is this driving the work? Is it part of the mission statement? And so that's what you want it. You want it to all circle back to, yes, that is definitely part of, the mission that we're trying to accomplish for our students here at Augusta.
Well, Ms. McCane, I appreciate you joining us today. Certainly there's a lot going in our district. There's been a lot of positive work this year. There's been a lot of things we didn't even touch on that we could have, but certainly exciting times for Augusta Independent. And again, appreciate you joining us to talk about some of those things.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here and share all the wonderful things happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time for our AIS Spotlight. Today we're highlighting our Breakfast Club mentoring program. This initiative is supported by AIS Frisk and led by Frisk Director Todd Kelch, who works to connect our students with meaningful opportunities and strong community partnerships. The Breakfast Club is designed specifically for our 7th grade students, an important year as they transition further into middle school and begin thinking more seriously about their future. The program connects students with community leaders from business, faith, education, and government. These mentors take time to meet with students, share their experiences, talk about career paths, discuss challenges they overcome, and most importantly, build relationships. It's about more than just career exploration, it's about connection. For our 7th graders, having a mentor can make a huge difference. At this age, students are developing their identity, confidence, and independence. When they have a positive adult outside of their immediate family and school staff investing in them, it helps build self-confidence, communication skills, and a stronger sense of belonging. Students begin to see new possibilities for themselves. They learn how to set goals, think about their future, and understand that their community believes in them. And the benefits aren't one-sided. Our mentors often share that they walk away just as impacted as the students do. They gain a renewed sense of purpose, deeper connections to our school and community, and the fulfillment that comes from pouring into the next generation. Many mentors say the conversations with students give them fresh perspective and remind them why investing in young people truly matters. The Breakfast Club is really about building bridges between generations, between school and community, and between who our students are today and who they're becoming tomorrow. Before we wrap up, it's time to keep you in the loop. The ASVAB test will be given on March 9th, while CTE and placement testing will be March 11th. The next Board of Education meeting is March 12th at 6 o'clock. The end of the 3rd quarter grading period is March 13th. And school will now be in session on Friday, March 20th, to make up for missed snow days. This day was originally a day off. That's it for today. We appreciate Mr. McCane for joining us. New episodes drop on the 1st and 3rd Friday of each month, so we'll be back on March 20th with episode 12. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I'm Tim Literal, and this has been Literally Speaking All Things AIS. Until next time, stay connected, stay learning, and stay Panther proud.